The Tales of 1001 Nights. This tale, the story of Shah Zaman and Shahrbaz, Part-2. In the preceding part of our tale, the narrative reached its conclusion at the point where Shah Zaman and Shahrbaz, following a series of events that transpired within the palace of Shahrbaz, departed the city, bound for a destination shrouded in mystery. As the days passed, they found themselves in proximity to the vast expanse of the Oman Sea, where they resolved to take respite beneath the shade of a majestic tree, its branches stretching towards the sky, beside a tranquil pool of water that reflected the beauty of the surrounding landscape like a mirror. Scarcely had they settled beneath its boughs when a great cloud of dust arose, accompanied by a cacophony of terrifying sounds, as if the very earth itself was being rent asunder, drawing nearer with each passing moment. Seized by fear, Shahrbaz and Shah Zaman swiftly ascended the tree, concealing themselves amongst its leafy branches as the tempestuous cloud drew closer. As the dust began to settle, they beheld a monstrous and hideous giant, his countenance a visage of terror, bearing a wooden chest upon his shoulders, his footsteps thundering against the earth as he approached their place of refuge. Upon reaching the tree, the giant, his chest heaving with exertion, deposited the chest upon the ground and flung open its lid, revealing a maiden of surpassing beauty, her form radiant as the sun, who emerged from within. The giant, his voice a low rumble, addressed the maiden, saying,
"I shall rest here, and you shall remain by my side, vigilant and watchful, until the morrow's dawn. Do not stir me from my slumber."
Thus speaking, he stretched out upon the ground, his snores soon resounding through the air. A sound akin to the grating of rocks as he succumbed to a deep and unshakable slumber. The maiden, once certain of the giant's repose, produced a large rosary from her person, its beads comprising a multitude of rings, which she proceeded to count with meticulous care. As she reached the count of 570, she raised her hands towards the heavens and implored,
"May I receive the 571st ring this very night, a token of the stranger who shall share my bed."
It transpired that the giant, a suitor spurned by the maiden, had, in a fit of pique, abducted her on the eve of her wedding, spirited her away to this desolate land, and ensnared her within his grasp through the agency of dark magic. Shah Zaman and Shahrbaz, their curiosity piqued by the maiden's words, descended from the tree, their movements cautious, and approached her. The maiden, upon beholding the two monarchs, addressed them, saying,
"Fear not, for the giant shall not awaken until the morrow, nor shall he stir until I summon him. I confess, I am delighted at the prospect of acquiring 2 rings this night, tokens of the men who shall share my bed."
The monarchs, taken aback by the maiden's words, inquired as to why she did not seize the opportunity to flee, now that the giant was ensnared in slumber. The maiden's response was forthright.
"I have known many lovers, and they have all fallen prey to my charms, only to be cast aside, their hearts broken, their minds shattered by my whims. One such suitor, a young man of noble birth, had a mother who, moved by her son's despair, cursed me. And it was this curse that led to my being ensnared by this giant, a malevolent sorcerer, who has bound me with spells, hiding the talisman that holds my fate and his own within a distant cave known only to him. His form is as impenetrable as armor, impervious to the blade of any sword, and were he to awaken and find me absent, he would scour the land, driven by his malevolent magic, until he discovered my whereabouts, and upon finding me, would subject me to torments beyond endurance. Thus I have devised a means of revenge, whereby, whenever he slumbers, I seek out a new partner with whom I share my bed, and from whom I claim a ring as a token of our union. Thus far, I have acquired 570 such rings, and now I invite you to join me, that you may provide me with the tokens I seek.
The monarchs, their countenances filled with disgust and outrage, declined the maiden's offer and departed, their footsteps carrying them away from the tree and the giant as they traversed the landscape. As they walked, Shahrbaz turned to his brother, Shah Zaman, and spoke.
Upon hearing the tale of this maiden, I have come to realize that there exist fates far more grievous than our own. I have resolved to return to my palace that I may mete out justice to those who have betrayed me, and thereafter resume my reign. What of you, dear brother? Will you return to Samarkand, or will you accompany me to my palace that we may dwell together?
Shah Zaman gazed upon his brother and responded,
I have made my decision and shall not return. I shall continue on my journey and live out the remainder of my days in anonymity.
Thus the brothers parted ways, Shahrbaz making his way back to his palace, whilst Shah Zaman pursued his solitary path. Upon his return, Shahrbaz, his heart still burning with the fires of indignation, ordered the execution of his queen, the women of his harem, and all those who had betrayed him. Yet his thirst for vengeance remained unquenched, and he decreed that henceforth a maiden, untouched and innocent, should be brought to his bedchamber each night, only to be slain at the break of dawn. Thus 3 years passed, and over 1,000 maidens, their lives cut short, were brought to the monarch's bed, their bodies cold and lifeless by the morning light. It was then that his vizier, a man of great wisdom and compassion, realized that the supply of maidens was nearing its end. He approached Shahrbaz and spoke.
The maiden who shall be brought to your bedchamber this night is the last remaining in the city. There are no more to be found.
Shahrbaz, his countenance twisted in rage, responded,
I care not how you accomplish this task, but see to it that the supply of maidens continues unabated. Should you fail, your head shall be forfeit.
The vizier, his heart heavy with sorrow, departed the palace, his mind consumed by the weight of his task. He was the father of 2 daughters, Scheherazade and Dunyazad, who, by virtue of their lineage, had thus far been spared the monarch's wrath. As he pondered the fate that lay before him, Scheherazade, the elder of his daughters, a maiden of surpassing intelligence and beauty, approached him and spoke.
I am aware of the task that lies before me, and I beg of you, dear father, to permit me to present myself to Shahrbaz this night. I have devised a plan whereby I shall endeavor to bring an end to the monarch's reign of terror, and should I fail, I shall suffer the same fate as the other maidens.
The vizier, taken aback by his daughter's resolve, attempted to dissuade her, but Scheherazade remained steadfast. He then recounted the tale of the farmer and the talking animals, a story of caution, in the hope that it might stay her resolve. He began,
There lived a farmer, a man of great wealth and prosperity, who possessed the gift of understanding the language of the beasts. One night, as he approached his stable, he overheard a conversation between a donkey and an ox, wherein the donkey counseled the ox to feign illness, that he might be spared the burden of his labors. The farmer, upon hearing this, observed that the ox, in accordance with the donkey's advice, refused to rise from his slumber, and was subsequently spared the task of plowing the fields. The donkey, however, was forced to assume the ox's duties, and upon returning to the stable, exhausted and weary, he bemoaned his fate, and the counsel he had offered to the ox. For, as it transpired, the farmer had overheard their conversation and had resolved to rid himself of the ox, deeming it to be no longer of use. Thus, the donkey's counsel had ultimately led to the ox's downfall and his own suffering.
The vizier concluded his tale, and Scheherazade, her resolve unshaken, responded.
I am aware of the risks, dear father, but I am resolute in my decision. I shall present myself to Shahrbaz this night, and shall endeavor to bring an end to his reign of terror.
The vizier, his heart heavy with sorrow, acquiesced to his daughter's wishes, and accompanied her to the palace, where she was presented to Shahrbaz. As the night wore on and Scheherazade lay beside the monarch, she requested, as a final boon, that her sister Dunyazad be summoned to her side, that they might share a farewell. Shahrbaz, his curiosity piqued, acceded to her request, and Dunyazad was brought to the palace. Upon her arrival, Scheherazade began to recount a tale, one that she had commenced on the previous night, but with a deliberate slowness and a studied ambiguity, that Shahrbaz, his interest piqued, was unable to follow the narrative with ease. As the night drew to a close, Dunyazad departed, and Shahrbaz, his curiosity unsated, resolved to spare Scheherazade's life, that she might continue her tale on the following night. And thus, Scheherazade, the storyteller, was born, her fate inextricably linked to the monarch's, as she embarked upon a journey that would span 1,001 nights, a testament to the power of her wit and the magic of her words. The continuation of this tale shall be revealed in the next instalment, in the first night of our journey. Farewell.